Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Her hand hovered over my wrist like it owned the air. I want us to be open, the words hit clean. I peeled her fingers off one by one, no drama. I'm Alex, 29, and my pulse started climbing. Pick a door, I said, and meant both kinds. Mia blinked once, then steadied like a fighter. Don't be extreme, she whispered, jaw tight. I stepped back so she had space to choose. Extreme is asking for us while wanting them, I said. Something sharp crossed her face and stayed there. A buzz rattled the counter between us like a dare. She reached fast, quicker than I had seen before. I slid the phone closer with 2 fingers and waited. Go ahead, I said, keeping my voice even. Her thumb tapped the screen like it had practice. Gym at 7, the preview flashed before she flipped it. My shift covered 7 to midnight tonight. I lifted an eyebrow and let the math speak. Is he spotting you or just watching? I asked. She swallowed hard and stared at the floor. No one specific, she tried, voice light and shaky. Then why the schedule? I asked, arms folded. A second buzz came like a cough she could not hide. Answer it, I said, and pointed to the hallway. Her eyes flicked to the door like it was a cliff. Can we talk first? She tried again, feet rooted. We are talking, I said, and opened the door. Cool air pushed in like a referee between rounds. You want open, I said, start now and go. She hugged her tote tighter like it could argue. Footsteps approached from the elevator and paused. A soft knock, then silence stretched like wire. Mia flinched and smoothed her hair without thinking. You invited him up, I asked, keeping my face blank. Her jaw worked, then stopped like the truth jammed. Wrong floor, a man muttered outside, footsteps fading. Mia's shoulders dropped, then rose again like a tell. I leaned on the frame and waited for honesty. She tucked hair behind her ear, eyes glassy. Say it clean, I said, and left no escape. We kissed after class, she breathed, barely above air. My stomach went still, not hot, just done. Twice, she added like 2 was a mercy. I nodded once and kept the door wide. Open must be simple when you start with 2. She moved closer, palms up like peace. I panicked, she said. I wanted options without lying. You already tested options, I said, stepping sideways. Her mouth trembled, but her eyes stayed daring. End or adapt, she said, like a game plan. End, I said, and the word landed heavy. Her fingers toyed with her key like it might talk. You're throwing us out for 1 mistake, she pushed. 2, I answered and let the number hang. She stared at the deadbolt like it was judging. Her phone lit again and painted her face guilty. Tell him it's open, I said, and nodded hallway. She hesitated, then typed with quick, steady hands. The message sent with a tiny sound that stung. Done, she said, lower now and careful. The elevator chimed like a witness who never lies. She stepped back, then forward, torn in small pieces. Last chance to talk, she tried, eyes searching for rescue. We are done talking, I said, and held the door. Walk or stay and close every other door. She took 1 step into the hall and stopped. I waited without blinking, letting silence do work. Her shoulders squared like she picked a side at last. Don't follow, she said, chin high and stubborn. I didn't move, and that answered everything. I slid the chain across the entrance, then set her spare key on the threshold. Leave this when you go, my hand stayed steady. She hovered in the hall, jaw locked, eyes challenging. Not a breakup if I'm still here, she pushed. Then don't be here, I answered and kept the gap narrow. The intercom crackled once, a clipped male voice asking for her. She shifted her weight, guilt flashing before control returned. Tell him wrong unit, she tried, palms open like peace. You invited this, I said, and thumbed the intercom. She's in the corridor, I told the voice, then waited for footsteps. Private talk, she whispered, body angled, eyes daring a step. Return the key first, I said, and tapped the metal with my shoe. Also unlink my codes now. I held up my screen without moving. Her focus flicked between me and the exit like a metronome. She lifted her phone and started tapping, lips pressed thin. The lift chimed down the hall, soft and close. A tall guy rounded the corner, smile already loaded. It died when he clocked me behind the chain. Mia, he tried, then stopped when I raised a hand. Leave your introductions, I said, and nudged the key forward. He planted himself 2 steps back, not brave, not shy. We can come back later, he offered, eyes on her. She stiffened, then took a breath that wanted control. Stay, she told him, fingers flexing like she owned the space. I laughed once, and even I could hear the edge. You knew about me, I asked him, keeping my voice level. She said you were cooling off, he answered, glancing down. Cooling off doesn't include kissing plans and calendar tricks. He rubbed his neck, then smoothed his shirt like that helped. Okay, he muttered, which meant he already knew enough. Key, I reminded, and towed it into the hall. Her stare held mine, then she crouched slowly, still stalling. She picked it up, rolled it in her palm, thought too long. My patience thinned, and I knocked the chain harder. You don't get back in without a plan that ends this. 5 minutes to pack, she tried, chin up, eyes wet but fierce. You take what you can carry now, I said, no extras. He shifted closer, shoulders tight, trying to appear useful. Don't touch my things, I warned, and he froze mid-step. The lift doors slid open behind him like a dare. A neighbor's bolt clicked somewhere left, poor timing. A sleepy face peeked, then vanished, but the hallway listened. Mia's cheeks flushed with something hotter than embarrassment. You're putting on a show, she snapped, voice sharp. I'm ending a show, I answered, and pushed the key toward her again. She tossed it once, then dropped it with a clatter. Happy now, she asked, tears threatening but refusing to fall. Almost, I said, and held up the screen again. Remove access to my accounts, my mouth made each word hard. She typed, then showed me the removal prompts without flair. Done, her voice landed flat, no spin left. Good, I said, and unhooked the chain 1 inch. She moved like water, quick and shaping to gaps. I blocked with my forearm and shook my head once. Not yet, I said, and the inch stayed an inch. The guy cleared his throat, courage finally waking. This isn't worth it, he murmured, stepping back toward the lift. She shot him a warning look that begged loyalty. He stared at his shoes, then hit the button with a knuckle. Doors opened, a box waiting, choices humming. Leave the fob, I said, pointing to her wrist. She stiffened, then unclipped it and set it on the frame. Her breath trembled, not from cold, from losing leverage. She looked past me at the empty space that used to be ours. Don't drag this, I said, and felt the last thread loosen. Call me tonight, the guy whispered, half inside the lift now. Her eyes flicked to him, then to me, torn by convenience. Don't call him tonight, I cut in and held her stare. You wanted options, pick one without using both. Her lips tightened and the silence bit down hard. She stepped backward 2 paces, then another with effort. The key stayed on the floor like a coin after a bet. She bent, grabbed it, and pressed it into my palm. Keep it, she said, voice thin but steady enough. Keep everything, I answered, and shut the chain with a click. The lift signaled again. He retreated without a goodbye. She didn't follow yet, pride tangling with need in her throat. Last chance for a clean exit, I told her, door still cracked. She nodded once, small but decisive, and turned toward the waiting box. I watched until metal closed, leaving the hallway loaded with unfinished air. A verification code hit my screen before the silence settled. Unknown device, password reset requested, recovery number changed. I killed every session and rotated credentials twice. Another alert arrived from the bank within seconds. Pending charge at a boutique hotel under my card tonight. The buzzer blasted again like it owned the corridor. Management, a voice called, knuckles rapping with rhythm. I slid the latch and kept my foot braced. She claims residence, the super announced, clipboard tight. She gets supervised retrieval, or we call security now. Fine, I answered, keeping the opening narrow on purpose. I'll bag her things while you watch. No bags, the super replied, palm raised. She selects in sight while you observe. Footsteps approached behind him, quick and eager. Mia stood there with a stiff smile and a fresh phone. No tremor, no apology, only calculation and speed. 5 minutes, the super warned, eyes on me. She stepped in and went straight for the bedroom. I followed, staying between her and my desk. She reached for my laptop like it owed her proof. Not yours, I said, hip blocking the corner. She switched targets without pause and grabbed a small pouch. Mine, she said, chin lifted, fingers white. I let it go but kept count. A message flashed on my lock screen mid-stride. Reservation confirmed, 2 guests, late check-in guaranteed. I tilted the screen toward her and the super. That is my card, I said, pulse calm. Her jaw moved, but the words didn't arrive. The tall guy reappeared at the door with nerves. He hovered, then slid his foot inside the frame. Out, the super told him, voice flat as concrete. He backed off, cheeks hot, eyes avoiding mine. Mia didn't look at him once. She yanked a drawer and pulled a slim envelope. Cash not mine, stashed and counted. I raised an eyebrow and waited for honesty. For classes, she muttered, eyes fixed on the bills. The super coughed once, unimpressed and bored. Another ping landed, hard and undeniable. My cloud showed a mass export request queued. Stop trying to pull my data, I said, breathing steady. Her gaze slid sideways, guilt finally catching up. I did it earlier, she murmured, almost proud. The super set a timer on his phone. 2 minutes left, he announced, door wide, patience thin. She stuffed the pouch and the envelope into her tote. I checked the hallway where the guy lingered like smoke. Take him with you when you go, I said. Mia paused at the threshold and dropped her voice low. Cancel the hotel and you cancel the story, she warned. What story? I asked, every muscle listening. You broke my lease, she said, eyes sharp. You blocked access and threatened both of us. You had no lace, I answered, volume even. Management is right here and watching everything. The super nodded, already tired of the theater. Time, he said, pocketing the timer with finality. She squared her shoulders like a fighter who lost. Last grab, I told her, pointing to the closet. She took a jacket and nothing else, pride ruling. The guy reached again, testing limits without courage. I stepped forward once and he retreated without comment. Mia brushed past him like he was furniture. At the doorway, she turned and tapped her new screen. My phone buzzed with a final notification that stung. Work contact found, the app displayed, numbers matched. She looked at me for a reaction and found none. See you soon at your office, she whispered. The super cleared his throat and opened the hall. Mia walked out and didn't glance back once. The guy followed, eyes empty and hands uncertain. The latch slid home with a small mechanical snap. I stood still and waited for the next hit. I called the card issuer and killed the booking in one breath. Fraud team asked 3 questions and locked the number. A new alert followed before I hung up. Attempted ride share to that same hotel at 8. I blocked it and waited for the next swing. My work phone rang while I stood by the entrance. Unknown caller claimed to be from HR, voice clipped. Concerned report about aggression at home, the voice read. A timestamp matched the minute she left the floor. Want a comment? The voice asked, tone cool. Happy to meet in person, I answered, throat dry. Bring your supervisor, the voice added, no warmth. I scheduled a morning slot and ended the call. My screen lit with an email from facilities. Access badges for 2 users flagged at my office. I called security and asked for a quick sweep. They promised patrols on every hour until sunrise. Expect someone tonight, I said, holding the rail. We will watch for tailgating, the guard replied. I set my jaw and checked my front camera. A rideshare stopped across the street at 7:30. She stepped out with that same stiff posture. The companion trailed behind, hands buried, eyes jumpy. They didn't look up at the window once. They aimed straight for the side entrance like scouts. My phone vibrated again with an email trap. Request to reset my company mailbox through a fake page. I forwarded it to it with 2 lines. Phishing from a fresh domain that mirrored our portal. I warned the team and dug in for fallout. The intercom crackled with another voice right after. Courier for Alex, it chimed, cheerful and smooth. Leave it downstairs, I answered, suspicion climbing fast. No lobby drop, the voice insisted, policy you know. I watched the street camera and saw her whispering. I stepped into the stairwell and took the service route. 2 floors down, I met the courier empty-handed. Package requires signature, he announced, eyes sliding sideways. I held the door and smiled without humor. Let me sign inside, I said, and waited. He hesitated long enough to confirm everything. I pushed the door wider and watched his feet. He backed away and checked his phone with nerves. Wrong address, he muttered, walking too fast to be clean. The camera caught him joining her at the corner. My phone buzzed with a shared drive invitation. Folder name used my project title with a twist. Inside sat a document labeled Statement for HR. I opened it and found lines accusing me of threats. The last line requested immediate suspension without pay. I recorded a screen capture and saved the metadata. Legal would want the timing and the edits. I added a note for my manager with bullet points. No adjectives, only times and actions and names. I hit send and braced for more noise. The entrance sensor pinged at 7:54. 2 people entered behind a resident carrying groceries. Security missed them and my chest went cold. I dialed the desk and reported tailing right away. On it now, the guard answered, boots already moving. I reached the landing above THE lobby and listened. Footsteps paused near the mail slots like they belonged. A whisper about my unit number floated upward. I took the last stairs quiet and tight. They started toward the elevator with false confidence. Wrong building, I called from behind, voice steady. They turned and wore the blank look of amateurs. The companion raised both hands like a tourist. Visiting a friend, he offered, eyes drifting left. Security is 5 seconds away, I warned, counting down. The guard rounded the corner with clipped strides. Names, he demanded, hand extended for IDs. They delivered 2 student cards that didn't match stories. The guard scanned them and shook his head slowly. Time to leave, he concluded, radio already buzzing. She lined in toward me as the guard positioned. Cancel your meeting tomorrow, she whispered like a dare. Or I bring your office into this tonight. I met her stare and didn't blink once. You already tried, I answered and watched doubt form. The guard escorted them to the exit with patience. They stalled at the door while another ride arrived. Before climbing in, she turned and typed something fast. My phone chimed with a recorded message link. Her voice played through my speaker with practiced tremor. I fear for my safety, the recording began. She spoke about a confrontation and a slammed door. No dates, no locations, only dramatic pauses and gasps. Then she mentioned a missing envelope of cash. The implication landed like a thrown stone at glass. I forwarded the audio to the building manager. I added footage timestamps and the courier attempt. The manager replied with a short line and a plan. Come to the office now, the message read. Let's document everything with security in the room. The lobby conference room smelled like old coffee and rubber. The guard printed a visitor log and slid it over. 2 entries matched her times with small variations. She used a different last name on the second pass. The notes column read interview and then delivery. We drafted a statement while the printer clattered. I gave only essentials in crisp, numbered points. The manager recorded my signature and locked the file. Police or no, he asked, eyebrow up and waiting. Not yet, I answered, wanting leverage before escalation. My phone lit again with an unknown number. Your appointment moved earlier, the HR voice informed me. Show up at 8 and bring your badge. Perfect, I replied and set a dozen alarms. I walked home with my shoulders squared for impact. The street was quiet, but the corner camera blinked. Another ride rolled by slow and then sped off. I filmed the plate and saved it to the folder. Evidence grows heavy when it's organized and clear. I locked my door and checked the peephole twice. The hotel sent an automated message at 9. Cancellation acknowledged and no penalty charged. Then a follow-up email arrived from a manager. Please confirm you are safe, the text requested kindly. Her name was attached to the room next to mine. They booked the neighboring room after the first one failed. Same card ending digits copied from an old statement. Another attempt to place me at a scene. I called the hotel and flagged the account hard. They promised to deny future reservations under both names. At 9:30, a social account tagged my company. Anonymous post accused me of stalking and harassment. It listed a fake timeline that mirrored her script. 3 public comments appeared within a minute, all supportive. I captured everything and noted IP hints in headers. My manager texted with an unexpected offer. Stay off the floor until the meeting, the note read. Work remote tonight and avoid noise. I thanked him and sent the compiled folder. He responded with a single word that eased my spine. Solid, his reply meant the evidence spoke louder. I brewed water and stood by the sink listening. Outside, a car idled for too long, then vanished. My phone stayed face up and ready for alarms. I watched the seconds crawl and kept breathing on purpose. At 10, a neighbor knocked twice with urgency. Someone asked if you lost a dog, she whispered. No one around here owns a dog. I checked the hallway camera and saw 2 figures. They left a note that read, "Call me now." I photographed the note and left it untouched. The building guard picked it up with a bag. Print, he said, sealing it with practiced motions. He lifted the corner and found a second message. It listed my office address with an arrow drawn. I exhaled slow and made my next move. I texted the hotel manager a short request. If she arrives, call the police for trespass. I sent the same instruction to the guard downstairs. Then I placed my phone on the dresser and waited. Midnight rolled in with a soft vibration and a beep. Security confirmed a patrol sweep and clear stairwells. I finally closed my eyes without sleeping at all. Every sound felt like a test I had to pass. At 1, the intercom woke up for real. Emergency maintenance, the voice announced with urgency. Water leak above your unit needs access now. I checked the ceiling and saw nothing new. Send a text from management, I ordered, voice iron. Silence held for 5 long seconds and then broke. Wrong stack, the voice admitted, volume dropping. Footsteps retreated and the camera caught their backs. Not him this time, a different helper wearing nerves. I archived the clip and marked the timestamp. They were running out of cheap ideas for tonight. I reached the lobby at 7:55 and handed over my badge. The guard scanned it, then keyed the turnstile for escort access. HR is ready upstairs, he reported, chin tight. Any visitors flagged overnight, I asked, eyes on the monitor. 2 attempts at 4, he answered, and I filed that away. The conference room door stood open like a trap with rules. 3 chairs, recorder blinking, printed agenda waiting for signatures. State your name for the record, the HR lead began. I did, then placed a drive on the table. Evidence package, I added, and the blinking light kept blinking. A second door clicked and she walked in with counsel. Not the companion, a tidy stranger with a leather folder. He nodded at me like this was already one. She folded her arms and stayed very still. The recorder captured the hush before anything else. Her attorney spoke first with smooth cadence and polish. Client reports intimidation, financial interference, reputational harm. He slid a typed statement across the wood. Request for immediate suspension pending investigation, he concluded. The HR lead looked to me without blinking. I opened my folder and turned on my laptop. Let's do this chronologically, I said, keeping pace slow. Screen recording of the fake portal played for 20 seconds. Then the visitor log timestamped with the escort request. Then the audio where my name got dragged for sport. Her lawyer raised a palm when the hotel emails appeared. Speculative, he tried, glancing toward the recorder for sympathy. I zoomed on the reservation confirmation with card digits masked. Then the follow-up booking under a different label. The HR lead leaned forward as the pattern surfaced. Who created the shared drive? The HR lead asked. I opened the Properties tab and pointed to the owner. Fresh account, same recovery number captured last night. I expanded revisions and showed edits by device. The room exhaled in one controlled breath. The attorney repositioned and tried a new route. Why record private interactions at home? He challenged. Building cameras, I replied, tapping the manager's affidavit. Security pulled the clips after tailing behavior, I said. The guard from downstairs stepped in with a folder. He placed printed stills on the glass and backed away. 2 images, time-stamped, faces clear. The HR lead studied them, then checked the visitor log. Same time as this email to our hotline, she noted. Her pen hovered above a blank line, ready to bite. Any direct contact to staff, she asked me. Only the phishing attempt and facility alerts, I answered. +2 badge pings from unknown devices overnight. I slid a screenshot of the access report across. The building guard confirmed a sweep at 1. The attorney tried for tone instead of facts. My client felt endangered and acted protectively. He listed vague concerns and implied I had outbursts. I let him finish, then played the courier clip. The HR lead wrote a single word. Next to it. The door bumped and my manager eased inside quietly. He greeted the room with a nod and sat. Received his packet at 9 last night, he said. Reviewed every item and checked our logs. Credentials rotated before any breach, he added, calm. Her lawyer pivoted to the money claim with urgency. Missing envelope, he pressed, tapping his statement twice. I turned the screen to a bank alert from yesterday. Withdrawal by her at noon with ID match. The guard held up a printed still of the lobby ATM. Her jaw tightened, then she stared at the recorder. Do you want to amend? The HR lead asked softly. Silence, only the quiet tick of the recording light. Her lawyer whispered something behind his folder. She looked back at me and skipped the hint. Stop this and I walk away, she offered, teeth clenched. No HR, no posts, no calls. The HR lead clicked her pen and stopped her mid-sentence. Not how this works, she corrected, voice firm. We complete the record and decide next steps. I added one last item without raising volume. A screenshot of her tag accusing my company last night. Then a second image showing the IP block origin. Same network as the hotel, verified by the manager. My manager wrote the word corroborated and underlined it once. The attorney requested a pause and checked his messages. He returned with a stapled packet, edges misaligned. Client withdraws the urgent suspension request, he announced quickly. She will step back from any contact for now. HR wrote the phrase interim separation into the notes. Return company property if you possess any, HR continued. She shook her head without blinking and kept still. Acknowledge no entry policy to our premises, HR added. She nodded once and looked at the door. Every second felt like a string pulled taut. My manager lined in with a final confirmation. You're cleared to work pending closure, he said. Skip the floor today and avoid direct exposure. I'll brief the team and legal, he added. Relief didn't land, focus stayed where it needed. We signed our statements and backed out of the room. Her lawyer guided her left toward the elevators. I turned right with the guard shadowing me. At the atrium, she called after me without shame. Enjoy your little win, she said, voice low but sharp. I didn't answer. I met the guard's eyes and kept walking. The front desk flagged another message for building management. A complaint about last night's patrol volume at my door. Filed under a fake resident name with a typo. I photographed the form and added it to the chain. Outside, my phone trembled with a fresh alert. A new account tried to pull my credit at dawn. Different lender, same surname as the hotel booking. I froze the file and locked inquiries through the bureau. Then I pinged legal with the confirmation number. The hotel called back while I crossed the avenue. Your requested watch is active, the manager confirmed. Guests matching those names were denied at 8. She paused, then added a detail that mattered. They tried to add your work address to the reservation. I thanked her and reached the corner where rides wait. A tinted sedan idled too long with the engine whispering. I lifted my phone and filmed the license plate. The car rolled forward 3 feet and stopped again. I saved the clip and kept my route irregular. Back at the building, security met me with news. A plainclothes officer wanted a quick statement upstairs. We used the conference room again with the recorder. I recapped the attempts from midnight through morning. He listened, then placed a card down without flourish. Document everything and call if she returns, he instructed. Civil order is possible if this continues. He gave the guard a direct number for overnight. Then he asked one more pointed question. Expect another move before lunch, he guessed, eyebrow up. The elevator dinged while we spoke and kept dinging. The front desk answered a call routed from the intercom. Delivery for the manager, the lobby speaker announced coolly. The guard checked the monitor and frowned once. Same courier from last night, he said, already moving. We intercepted him near the mail alcove without fuss. Drop the parcel, the officer instructed, palm facing down. The courier hesitated, then set the box carefully. No label, only a messy scrawl reading urgent. The officer nodded to me to stand back. He opened it with a tool and stepped aside. Inside sat a cheap recorder looping a single sentence. Violent tenant on 6, call police, hurry. The officer stopped the loop and bagged the device. False report device, he noted, eyes sharpening. The guard pulled a second box from behind a bench. Different handwriting, different tape pattern. Inside lay a stack of flyers with my name. My photo cropped from a team page at work. The headline demanded that neighbors watch me closely. The officer took a photograph, then filed the flyers. Whoever printed these isn't subtle, he observed. He looked at the guard and nodded toward the exit. Clear the lobby and alert the desk if they return. I felt the ground steady as the plan hardened. My phone buzzed with a calendar invite at 9:20. Meeting with HR again at 4 for final review. I accepted, then forwarded the officer's card to legal. The building manager stepped out of his office with purpose. We'll post a no solicitation notice at every entrance, he declared. I returned upstairs and locked my door twice. The hallway camera showed nothing but carpet and railing. I set the recorder on my table and tested levels. Then I opened a timeline file and started typing. Every line tightened the net around this mess. At 10, a new email cut through the noise. Her counsel proposed a mutual non-disparagement agreement immediately. No money, no public posts, no contact at all. If we both sign today, they pull everything down. I stared at the screen and counted to 5. I called my manager and kept it measured. Legal will handle, he answered, tone clipped and steady. No direct response from you on any channel. Prepare for the 4 o'clock and stay reachable. He hung up and left me with my heartbeat. The buzzer chirped once more and stopped mid-tone. The guard's voice followed with something new. Package for the unit below yours, he informed me. Name on it matches your visitor from last night. I opened the peephole and waited for footsteps. She appeared with a building staffer trailing behind. She carried a lease folder for the apartment downstairs. She looked up at my camera and didn't blink. The staffer rang my neighbor's bell and kept ringing. No answer, just that stare aimed upward like a spear. I dialed the manager before she entered the new unit. You signed her here, I pressed, words clipped and hot. He cursed under his breath and rushed the hall. That file is incomplete, he realized, flipping through pages. No deposit, no ID copy, only a name borrowed. He revoked the key on the spot and reached for the fob. She stiffened, then handed it over without a word. Your application is denied, the manager declared, voice iron. Leave our property immediately and do not return. She stepped back, eyes cold, planning 10 steps ahead. The staffer escorted her to the main entrance. I filmed the exit from my peephole and archived it. The guard texted a final update before noon. Building access revoked across all systems, his message read. Officer on call until morning, he added with certainty. I stood still and let the quiet settle for once. No buzzing, no knocks, no shadows on the lens. Only the click of my keyboard and the recorder's light. At 4 I would sit down and finish this. Until then, I waited for whatever she tried next. 4 o'clock hit as the elevator doors spread and swallowed my reflection. I walked straight into the conference room and placed my phone face up. Corp counsel sat already, eyes steady, folder closed. HR switched on the recorder and asked for updates. New developments since noon, I said, and kept my pulse even. The door opened before I continued, and the companion entered alone. No swagger now, only restless hands and a packed jaw. I need to correct the record, he started, voice rough. He glanced at me once and then fixed on counsel. I brought proof, he added, holding out his phone. HR slid a cable across and mirrored his screen quickly. Group chat, her handle at the top with a crown. Instructions to tail me to fake packages, to post tags. Amounts promised through transfers if he followed the script. A voice note cued at the bottom like a fuse. Play it, counsel said, pen ready, face blank. Her voice filled the room, brisk and focused. Open relationship first, then frame the breakup as control. Trigger HR, then force an NDA with urgency. Plant a device in the lobby and keep recording. Corp counsel took a breath and leaned forward 1 inch. Date on this file, she asked, tapping the header gently. Last night before the hotel attempt, he answered, swallowing. He scrolled to a payment screenshot with her alias. Transfer memo read delivery window and bonus for speed. The hallway camera stills followed with matching clothes. Time codes lined up with our earlier clips perfectly. HR's eyebrows lifted once, then dropped like a gavel. Any more, she asked, voice plain and controlled. There's one more note, he said, thumb shaking now. Another audio clip opened with street noise and passing traffic. Get him to shove you, her voice urged, calm and cold. Block the doorway and call the hotline immediately. If he doesn't bite, escalate with a courier trick. Use the neighbor if the guard gets in the way. Counsel paused the clip and faced him head on. You willing to make a sworn statement right now? He nodded hard and wiped his mouth with his sleeve. Immunity would be good, he muttered, barely above air. Talk to the officer downstairs after this, counsel said. Her lawyer entered late with a tight smile that cracked. He saw the mirrored screen and stopped 2 steps in. We have a proposal, he began, already losing altitude. Mutual non-disparagement and a commitment to silence. HR pointed at the display and let the silence burn. Your client arranged a false emergency, counsel stated. Your client attempted access to protected systems. Your client organized harassment on company channels. We will not bargain under pressure, she concluded. We will pursue remedies and notify authorities now. The lawyer opened his folder and found nothing useful. He reached for a water bottle and missed the cap. Let's pause for a hallway chat, he tried nervously. Only if your client is present, HR answered immediately. She is downstairs arguing with security, he admitted. Corp counsel dialed the building line on speaker. Is she there with a recording device? She asked. Yes, the desk confirmed, tone clipped and weary. She demanded we let her deliver a letter. Police are on their way, the desk added. The companion shifted and pushed his phone closer. There's also this draft email she wanted me to send. Subject line read concerned citizen, content requested suspension. Included fabricated quotes and fake witnesses from my floor. A scheduled send sat for tonight at 8. HR canceled the scheduled message and archived everything. Counsel printed a letter on the spot for delivery. No contact order for company property and staff. Trespass notice filed with the building and attached. A cease letter prepared for her and the courier. The door opened again as 2 officers walked in. Badge numbers, quick introductions, notebook already out. HR summarized the fresh clips without flourishes or filler. The companion raised his hand and volunteered first. I'll sign now, he offered, hands steady for once. His statement flowed with times, exact phrases, meeting spots. He admitted the plan and owned his part. He named 2 friends she used for noise. He showed one transfer routed through a cash app. He handed over the cheap recorder from last night. An officer looked to me for any final detail. She tried to lease the unit below mine, I said. The application lacked a deposit and an ID scan. Building staff retrieved the fob before entry. Camera clip and timestamps are already in our file. The hallway erupted with raised voices and tapping heels. She stormed in at the edge of the officer's patience. Her eyes scanned the screen and then found him. You folded, she hissed, stepping forward with coiled energy. Don't say a word, her lawyer warned, hand raised. She ignored him and jabbed a finger toward me. You cancel the NDA and this gets ugly, she snapped. Counsel remained seated and slid the cease letter across. Serve her in the room, counsel told the officer. He placed the notice directly into her hand. She read 3 lines and went white around the mouth. No contact, the officer repeated, tone level and final. No entry to this building or corporate property. Any violation triggers immediate arrest, he added. Her jaw clenched and then loosened with a twitch. The companion cleared his throat and faced the recorder. I apologize for my part, he said, shoulders dropping. I was stupid and owed money, he added quietly. He turned to me like he expected a punch. Don't come near me again, I answered, voice flat. Her lawyer gathered his papers without looking up. We will withdraw all posts today, he promised quickly. We will issue a correction and a retraction. Put that in writing, counsel responded, eyes unmoved. Within the hour, he agreed, already dialing. The officers guided her toward the corridor with measured steps. She twisted back and tried one last jab. You think this ends today? She asked, almost laughing. This ends when you stop, I replied, not rising. The door caught her voice and clipped it mid-breath. HR powered down the recorder and stacked the files. You are cleared, she said, signatures already drying. Security will escort you in and out this week. Forward anything new to legal immediately, she added. I nodded and pocketed the card with the direct line. The elevator carried us to the lobby in silence. Outside, a rideshare waited with its hazard lights ticking. She stood near the curb with the companion behind. She looked at me like daring me to blink first. I didn't blink and stepped past without a flinch. At the revolving doors, she drifted into my path. Say one thing, she murmured, trying for softness now. I already said it upstairs, I answered, feet planted. I pointed beyond the glass where the patrol car idled. Your next conversation is with them, not me. She held my stare for 3 long beats and broke. The companion K. EPT his eyes on the sidewalk and shuffled. A patrol officer waved once and opened the back door. She hesitated, then climbed in with a tight spine. The door shut and the locks clicked like final punctuation. Corp Counsel appeared beside me with a plain envelope. Copies for your records, she said, tone measured. Stay reachable and lean on us if needed. I took the packet and felt the weight settle evenly. Will do, I answered, ready for whatever echo came next. Outside, the crowd thinned and the street breathed again. My phone vibrated with a single new alert. Her posts disappeared one by one from the feed. A retraction appeared with the word correction in bold. I saved it and turned toward the revolving door. The guard nodded from the desk and lifted a hand. Ride downstairs if you want an escort, he offered. I'm good, I said, keeping my pace deliberate. I reached the glass and paused for one last look. She sat in the cruiser, eyes on me, waiting for a different ending.